Boy, did the Red Sox have a pretty interesting morning when it came to announcements today. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and this morning was pretty active for the Red Sox in terms of news. We got a couple of different things announced that we need to talk about in today's video. The first one being the Red Sox made their second round of roster cuts today. Nothing super surprising, but definitely something to at least keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks. We also had more injury news to put on top of injury news because, of course, we did, right? Of course, the Red Sox injury bug is affecting this camp bright and early this morning. So instead of making two separate videos, I figured what we would do in today's videos, we're going to break down everything news related to the Boston Red Sox. We're going to talk about the latest roster cuts, how they impact the rest of the spring training, what they mean for the 2024 season, and then we're going to talk about the injury news as well. Obviously, what that means, who's injured, how long they're going to be out, and of course, how that's going to affect the Red Sox as well. But before we get into that, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. So if you're new here and you want to help us get there, make sure you've hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Really does help these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. All right, so like I said, let's start by breaking down the actual roster moves first before we get into the injury news, mostly because this injury news is driving me absolutely insane. I can't take any more injuries with this big league team, and because the roster moves are going to be a bit simpler to talk about because there isn't really any surprises here. This morning, right around 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern time, the Red Sox announced that they would be reassigning 3 major league camp guys to the minor leagues, going back and joining their fellow prospects. Those guys being Chase Meadroth, Corey Rozier, and Joe Dunnan. Like I said in the intro, really not any surprises here, although I will say I kind of figured that Chase Meadroth would get some more time with the major league club. It feels like he's the type of guy over this next year to really start making a name for himself in the minor leagues as sort of a utility option going into 25 or 26, and he can also play basically anywhere on the diamond, which usually makes him pretty valuable during spring training because you don't want to have your everyday regulars playing a full 9 innings. So I figured he'd be in there a little bit longer, but again, not really any surprises as all of these guys were probably pretty long shots to make the major league team or even the 40-man roster. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't any single effect by this, because what this is doing is it's narrowing the playing field a little bit, right? You have less guys with the major league camp and more opportunities for guys like Nick Sogard or Romy Gonzalez or anyone like that to get out onto the diamond, especially in those later innings once you've taken your regulars out, to continue to either make a name for themselves or fight for a spot either on this 40-man roster or within this 26-man club. Now, I don't believe that either of these guys will be with the team to open this season, but this allows them a little bit more of an opportunity to showcase what they can do. Say, hey, look, if you guys get down to plan C or D here, I could be that guy, and I think that's going to be really important. And as a fan, I also think this is kind of good news because it also means that you're probably going to see more regulars in everyday spring training lineups, which just makes the game a little bit easier to watch, right? I'm a Red Sox freak. You guys are Red Sox freaks. So it is kind of fun to see these sort of undervalued guys like a Romy Gonzalez or a Joe Dunnan get some appearances during spring. But obviously, the best part of spring training is when you start to see the team coming together. And that's what you're going to start seeing over the next couple of weeks as regulars start getting into these games and the Red Sox start weeding these guys out. So overall, when we're looking at this next round of cuts, this is sort of 1A and 1B for me. Yesterday was 1A, today's 1B, because it realistically does the exact same thing. It's pretty obvious guys who are probably never going to make the big league club being weeded out and sent down to the minor leagues, and it's nothing really to get super excited about or nothing really to get super upset about. It just sort of is what it is. Again, there are some effects attached to this, mainly in terms of guys still being able to make a name for themselves at maybe even more availability to do that, and it means for us fans, we're going to see our regulars in every single day. So again, nothing super crazy, but I wanted to keep you guys updated to make sure you have all the information regarding the Red Sox latest news. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the latest Red Sox injury updates. Okay, so in terms of injury, I think the best place for us to start would obviously be with the most important injury facing the Red Sox right now, and that is the latest on Lucas Giolito. We don't really have a ton of new information, but we do have an update on his timeline, at least until he figures out if he needs surgery or not, and that is that Monday he will be going and getting a second opinion as to what the next steps are. My assumption is that there's a small glimmer of hope that he might not need that Tommy John surgery, that it feels like this is going to end up being at some point. I'm not keeping my hopes up because I think that's still ultimately the most likely outcome. But I guess the silver lining in all of this is that there is a possibility that he doesn't need Tommy John surgery and he's out for a majority of this season, if not the entire season, but comes back ready to go for opening day 2025. Because realistically, right now, what we're looking at is Lucas Giolito's definitely opting in, right? There's pretty much no world in which he doesn't opt into his second year of this contract. It would be really nice if he didn't, but he's definitely going to. So right now, with that Tommy John looming, that probably means he's going to be out until the 2025 All-Star break, sort of best case scenario. If he doesn't end up needing surgery, I think the ultimate best outcome at this point for Lucas is that he's ready to go with the Red Sox for 2025, at least sort of towards the beginning of the year. Maybe it's something along the lines of injections or therapies. I don't know, right? I don't know how that works. All I know is that he's going to get a second opinion on Monday. So I guess we're in wait and see mode. Again, I still think the most likely outcome here is a surgery that's going to put him out until midway through 2025. Still not exactly fantastic, but he's not the only one we have news about, because this morning we got 2 new people added to this injury tracker, and there's one more I want to mention as sort of a, hey, keep an eye on, but certainly not an injury as of yet. The first person I want to talk about, though, is Tyler O'Neill, who this morning it was announced that he had some left calf tightness after his game yesterday. Now, before we start panicking about Tyler O'Neill or talking about the Red Sox injury bug in general, this one's not as concerning as you may think. He's already expected to rejoin and start playing games again on Monday. He's just not going to be playing in the Dominican Republic this weekend, which kind of sucks for Tyler O'Neill. I'd love to see him showcase in the DR because that's going to be nationally televised and stuff. But overall, it's probably not something that's going to affect his availability come opening day. It's probably not something that's going to require an IL stint, at least not yet. What I will say about this injury is that calf injuries and stuff with the legs and, muscles tend to linger around a little bit. So my hope is that between him and the training staff with the Red Sox are able to iron this out as soon as possible so it doesn't end up something that's nagging him for the majority of the first half, because that could be something that continues to nag as you go on, but especially playing on it every single day. So I think it's smart, especially during spring training, to get him off his feet for a little bit, even if it is the most precautionary avenue possible. I think it's smart. These games mean nothing. You want him ready for opening day. So right now, really not a huge news with Tyler O'Neill, just something to keep your eye on. But the other person mentioned in this injury update is a little bit bigger of an impact, and that is that Zach Kelly is dealing with some oblique issues. He has been totally shut down because of this oblique. Now, in terms of what the actual injury is, I'm having a hard time finding out what the exact injury was, but it's looking like it's either soreness or a tweak or a pull. It's something to do with his oblique, and this one is a bit more concerning because Alex Cora mentioned him as a guy who right now is a candidate to start the year on the IL, and over the last couple of years, we've sort of seen just how long it takes for guys to get back from these oblique strains, right? And to me, Zach Kelly going down is pretty significant, especially with the way the bullpen's shaped right now. Kelly obviously missed most of last year, I think all of last year, with that surgery that he had during spring training, and it just kind of sucks that he's going to be starting the year most likely again on that IL. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on Zach Kelly here. Rob Bradford just tweeted out a little bit ago as I was editing this video that Zach Kelly said he expects to pitch off the mound by sometime next week and expects oblique tweak to not impact availability for beginning a season. Obviously, this isn't anyone in the medical staff confirming this, and it's just Zach Kelly's assumption, but it is sort of good news that there is a possibility that this does not require him to start the year on the injured list. He had come into camp with an all-new pitching arsenal. He had a cutter and a sweeper added in there. He also saw a significant increase in his velocity, at least early on in the spring. He was clearly one of those guys who was fighting for the back end of the bullpen spots, and he was a guy who could have been an impact player. The results weren't coming together on the field in the short sample size he had. I believe it was a 6 even ERA, but he was showing a lot of really intriguing signs that he could be a dominant pitcher at some point down the road. And obviously obviously, I'm a huge Zach Kelly guy, so I'm rooting for him to succeed. So to see him after a year where he had spent basically the entire thing on the IL, come into this spring training really healthy, ready to go, looking a lot better, just to end up on the IL again to start the year really sucks. So I'm hoping he gets into games as soon as humanly possible. But again, like we talked about with Tyler O'Neill, the oblique's a pretty miserable injury to get 100%. So even if he does get back, what is that going to look like? And that's my fear with this Zach Kelly one. The last one I wanted to mention in this video isn't an injury at all. I don't want anyone panicking. I don't want anyone raising the alarm bells, but I did want to give you guys a heads up because I want to give you guys all the information I can. Trevor Story was scratched from today's game with some neck stiffness. Again, nothing to really get pumped up about, just something I wanted to mention so you can keep an eye on. But I think this is realistically just extremely precautionary. Hey, I slept on my neck wrong. Can you give me a day? And with them not playing a game Friday because of travel, it gives him 2 full days off to really sort of realign that neck a little bit. Again, I don't think this is going to affect his availability opening day. I don't think this is going to land him on the IL. I don't think this is even going to be an injury we remember come opening day. It's just something I want you guys to understand because I want you guys to have as much information as possible. But man, it's like we're updating an injury list of every single person we possibly could. It's like the Red Sox have dealt with every single injury humanly possible up until this point, and it is unbelievably frustrating. I'm praying to God this trend ends right here because as a fan, you want your best team on the field at all times, and it hurts so bad when you can't have that because it's just not physically possible because they're not healthy enough to be there. It is one of the more frustrating things in all of sports, and it seems like the Red Sox have just been dealing with a constant stream of injuries over the last couple of years that makes it even worse. So I'm really hoping this is the end of the injury bug because I don't know how many more injuries I could mentally take. So let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the latest Red Sox news. What do you think of the roster cuts? What do you think of the injury concerns? Is there anything in here that you're really focusing on? Is it a focus on, hey, now that these guys are cut, there's someone I'm paying attention to possibly make an impact this spring? Or is it, hey, one of these injuries is going to come back and bite the Red Sox? Let me know which one you're focused on, or if you care about any of them in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, like I always say, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so make sure if you haven't, hit that subscribe button for me. It would help us out a ton. Also, make sure you guys have hit that like button as well. It would really mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.